Hi, this is Bob Roth, Managing Partner and Co-Founder of Cypress Home Care Solutions. Since 1994, we have been providing in-home supportive care services for our older adult population right here in Phoenix, Arizona. Since 2014, we've been bringing you a show on Money Radio called Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. In case you miss our show that airs every Friday at noon, you can catch it right here on our podcast called Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. So when you get a chance, listen in and enjoy the show.
It's time for Health Futures with Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and it must be Friday. And indeed it is. We're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park Money Radio Studios, 1510 AM, 105.3 FM, and the World Wide Web, moneyradio1510.com. We're also podcasting now, so you can catch us on any of the podcasting apps. Please download us. Please like us. Please give us a review. And most importantly, please recommend us. So if this is the first time you're tuning into our show is about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. How they do that? Not by listening to me, but to these extraordinary guests that I get to come to the show. And today's no different. I've got a repeat guest, one that was here almost 2 years ago. I can't believe it's been 2 years. We'll just go right to it. Abby Ritchie's in the house. She is the tech guru of the Smarter Service. Welcome to Health Futures, Abby.
Thank you, Bob. I'm so glad to be back. I do think that people could learn a lot from you directly if you just did this all on your own. Obviously, I see you all the time accepting this award at this event, and all for a very good reason.
Well, thank you. It's in my heart. And, there's that old adage, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And the recognition is really the work that not only that I do at Cypress, but I do here in the community. And, I've gotten a chance to serve on a lot of boards, not-for-profit boards. Banner Health, the foundation board for the Alzheimer's. I did that for 10 years. Alzheimer's Association prior to that. Arizona Geriatric Society. And now I did Duet for 6 years, and I'm now on the All Thrive 365, which used to be Foundation for Senior Living, FSL. Mm-hmm. It's really a lot of fun.
It is.
We're helping so many people.
100%. And it's one of the things that really gets me excited, especially as I'm have the opportunity to speak to people and large groups, is that as a senior living professional, we can be part of the solution in helping the people that we love to serve.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. And listen, the numbers, they don't lie. The older adult population is growing. And here in Arizona, between 2025 and 2030, 65-year-olds are going to increase by 41%. Guess who's included in that group? The guy you're looking at right now. I'm going to be 63 this year, but I will be 65 before 2030. And, I'm not sure we're really ready for this.
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating thing, Abby, is that they have been sounding the alarm since the 1980s. Mm-hmm. Guys like Ken Dykewald, Dr. Dykewald, wrote a book called The Age Wave in 1986 and served as an advisor to a number of sitting presidents, but nobody listened. But let's not go down that rabbit hole. Let's talk about what we're doing to lift up seniors, to give them the tools to make the most of their lives. And, that's what I think the Smarter Service does. And, this is a newer company than you were here on October 23rd. So I think you sold that company and you started a new one. So,
that's right.
Since you're back.
Yeah.
Would you take us all through where your journey is taking you and where are you going?
You got it. You got it. I will do my best. So in 2017, I was unemployed and was looking for something that I enjoyed doing. And just by happenstance, started helping my in-laws at the time with their technology. Their neighbors needed help, and then their neighbors needed help. And really, this was all stuff most of us know how to do. Unplug, plug it back in, set up the Wi-Fi, set up the printer. And the thing is that because I'd grown up with my Nana and Papa, I have this deep love and admiration for older adults. And I found myself day after day in a situation where I was like, I like this. I really like this. This is fulfilling a deep place for me, and I'm helping people. And also, I can be a mom at the same time, drop off, pick up, be available for my kiddos. So I decided one day after doing this for a couple months and realizing I was really passionate about it, that I was going to call the senior living communities in the 5-mile radius of where I live. And here in Scottsdale, they're plentiful. But I will tell you, I knew nothing about senior living, but I knew enough that I had to pick up the phone, make a call, and see if there was a need for this type of support in helping older adults with technology. And being the entrepreneur that I am, I offered a workshop that I hadn't written yet, and came up with a name for it on the spot. Cell phone secrets for seniors, and boom, it was picked up.
Cell phone secrets for seniors.
Yes. Yeah.
CSS or something like that.
You know, I never got that far with it, but it was popular. The senior living communities wanted it, and so I just started teaching there. And when I first started, now this was in 2017, 2018, really, I had no idea what was the right way to teach older adults, but I listened. I listened to their needs. I learned by listening to shows like this and going to different classes, and I loved on them. And through that, I was able to address their needs in a patient, compassionate, and loving way.
And I love how you use the adjective "you loved on them." And I think look, as I get older, I am starting to experience a little bit of ageism, and they don't get the respect and the love that they certainly deserve. So that kind of opens that door and makes you more welcoming and not threatening.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to learn a little bit more about your background, so I went a little bit deeper in LinkedIn to see what you used to do before.
Okay.
So you worked in the educational business.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So this wasn't that far. And instead of working with kids, now you're working with older adults.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't that far. The business model was pretty similar. I've always had a heart for teaching.
Right.
And it's something that I love doing. I just love to break down complex topics to make it digestible and really get people empowered and building on their confidence so that they are able to take on whatever subject they want to excel in.
Sweet. And that was a lane you were comfortable in. And you know what? The older adult population is a lot kinder than the kids are, I would imagine. And it requires the same type of patience from you and the love and the spirit that you have.
Thank you. I've had many clients and many people say to me since I've been working with older adults, wow, you must have a lot of patience, or you're a saint for working with, this population. And I got to tell you, it doesn't feel that way to me. It just feels like I'm in the right place doing the right thing for the right group of people.
And at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at the right time. All right, so tell me a little bit about the Smarter Service and what do you guys do? Because this is a new foray. March of 24, you got into this?
Exactly. So probably right after I was here the last time, in October of 23, I started talking with another company who had a very similar model as mine, and yet they had the infrastructure in place to really scale up the business, which was something that I was unable to do. And we just started talking, and over the course of several months, exploring the idea of the Smarter Service acquiring Senior Savvy.
Smarter Service acquiring Senior Savvy.
That's right.
And that's how it all began.
It did, yeah. And now I've been with them for just a little bit over a year.
I love it. Well, you've got little Steely Dan taking us out. And if you recall from 2 years ago, we've got 4 segments. We're down 1. We got 3 more to go. I want to dig a little bit deeper, and then I want to talk a little bit about this Arizona Leading Age Conference next week that you and I are going to be at. You're listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth. I've got Abby Ritchie in the house here. We're down 1. We got 3 more to go. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and if you're just tuning in, I have got Abby Ritchie here in the studio with me. And if you guys don't know Abby Ritchie, you should. Abby Ritchie comes to us, with a vast amount of experience working with older adults. And if you missed that first segment, go up to our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the media button right below its radio show. You'll catch this one and many, many more. So when we left off, we were talking about the Smarter Service. And I think I'm now finally connecting the dots. So the Smarter Service is what acquired Senior Savvy.
Yes, that's right.
And it gave you a platform to do more. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's been such a great merge because they're allowing me to do the things that I truly enjoy, which is speaking to large groups of people, sharing the message about this digital literacy piece that is missing. And it's so crucial for the older population. And just really allowing me to get out there as much as possible. So it was one of the best decisions I've ever made, and I just feel so in alignment and in sync with the team.
Well, and it certainly helps that you are not alone, right? You have people. You said team. You got people behind you to help you.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah, and the people are in all the right places, and they are fully qualified, and so it just really makes a huge difference. I was a solopreneur for many years, and even before starting Senior Savvy, I had another company. So just to have a team behind you to rely on, and so that you're not doing everything as an entrepreneur is just huge benefit.
So you're still going out to these communities. You're hands on. You're holding devices and laptops and iPhones and helping people to connect. Is that what you're doing still?
I have been relieved of that, and we have other tech concierge in place who are doing that at many communities and in many states around the country. But one thing I have been doing is I have a segment that gets streamed into thousands of communities around the country on fraud. And it's like a Fraud Friday where I'm talking about a new fraud trend. And these segments can be watched and they can be paused. They're just a couple minutes long.
I love it.
But they're allowing the residents to learn about what's new and what they can be looking out for.
And that's different than the Tech Tuesday that you do, right? That is specifically geared at fraud.
That's right.
Are you getting a lot of your data from organizations like BBB and Arizona Department of Arizona Attorney General's office? Because, they have all those latest scams that are coming out.
They really do. And I do get information from them. I also get information from a lot of people just email me and say, did you hear about this? And can you talk about this? Because we hear this coming through our community. I have activity directors and EDs around the country who will email me and say, we had 3 instances of romance scam this month. Can you talk about that? And one source I do go to often is AARP has a fraud watch network that's really up to date.
Nice. We had an experience with a caregiver and a client, and I tell this not often, but I tell it when I get an opportunity to. So we were in one of these senior living communities, and we've been providing, and I think I shared with you, on-demand fractionalized care. We're doing it in care by the minute rather than care by the hour, because it makes so much sense for people living in the community setting. So we were helping this one woman, and she was needing to go to the bank. And my caregiver was in the car, and they were driving to the bank, and she was on the phone with this person, and she was, and the caregiver's like, who are you talking to? And the person was like, putting their hand up, and she overheard the person through the ear set, because, older adults have a hard time of hearing, so the volume's way up. And sometimes everyone uses the speakerphone so that everyone can hear, and I know you know that. It's just like, yeah, that's my clientele. And overheard, now don't tell anybody that you are sending this money to me. And that's when the caregiver, when she got to the bank, she went over to the bank manager and just said, let me tell you what's going on with my client. And the bank manager interceded and saved $10,000 that were supposed to be being wired to this guy that was on the other end of the phone.
Ouch.
And so many of that, it happens so much, and we don't even know about it because people are shamed.
They are.
And they don't want to bring it up.
Yeah.
And they believe these scams that happen. And I know you probably have a place or a listing of all these scams, but beware. I really believe in the adage that if it's too good to be true,
it's
too good to be true.
Yeah, what I've noticed, particularly with older adults, is that this is not just a tech issue. This is about safety, it's about dignity, it's about trust. And the fraudsters are exploiting the vulnerabilities of the older population. It's really like the perfect storm of a scam. You have people with less digital experience, people who trust more, people who are more often isolated. And
good point.
That creates just a big storm for a scam.
100%. That isolation piece is a big one. Loneliness is crushing us. And I'll share just a really quick story. I had a caregiver that worked for me for a number of years. And I won't mention her name, but she was kind of in the public eye here. People knew who she was. And she had retired. She had told me when she retired, she came into my office and said, you know what, I don't remember as much as I used to. And I think it's time for me to ride off in the sunset, enjoy my grandkids, and take time for me. And I was all in. Her name was Cindy. And I was all in for that. And like 2.5 years later, she called me. And she had gotten scammed through Facebook. She met this guy on Facebook, and he convinced her to send her $160,000. It was her life savings, and went to these great extremes. I mean, you hear about the gift cards. This one was, she was instructed what books to buy and to carve out inside the book the pages so that she could put the cash in there, and she sent the cash to them. And she's like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, have you reported? Yes, but no one's doing anything. And I said, I can't help you. I would like to. Her daughter set up a GoFundMe account.
Yeah.
And I contributed to it, but I'm sure a lot of other people did too.
Yeah, it's really, really terrible to hear. People poo-poo the romance scam and think, how could that happen? But the fact is that the fraudsters are really preying on certain vulnerabilities and certain fear aspects, and there are always the red flags. Those are things that we teach at the Smarter service. We try to teach the red flags. We try to teach around the tactics that are being used, and we really are trying to reframe trust to include digital discernment. And you can be trustful, but you also need to be discerning.
And when you say discernment, you need to really, what you're saying is really dig in and say, is this real?
Yeah.
Why? And why me?
Right.
Well, we got the music going again. We're up against halftime. So, Abby, what do you want to talk about in the second half? Let's tease this audience and let them know what we're going to talk about.
I definitely want to talk about the upcoming Leading Age Arizona conference that we are both speaking at. And I'd love to talk about some of these age tech entrepreneurs that are up and coming on the scene.
I love that. So as we break, how would people get a hold of you? How do they find you?
I think the best place to look for me is on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Okay. Yep. And that's Abby Ritchie, and you spell that Richie.
Correct.
You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We're at halftime here at Health Futures. Abby Ritchie's in the house. Stick around. We got 2 more segments. We'll be right back. I hope you're enjoying the show. This is your host, Bob Roth, managing partner and co-founder of Cypress Home Care Solutions. If you have any questions about the topics that are discussed during the show, visit us online at cypresshomecare.com or give us a call at 602-264-8009. We are entering now the second half of our show, so stay tuned for more helpful information to assist you with your aging loved ones.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth. If you're just tuning in, we're in our second half here, and I got Abby Ritchie here in the studio. You know, I just want to read what you have here on your LinkedIn. It's so cool. Ready? Tech guru at the Smarter Service, host of the Tech Smarter and Tech Talk on Your Life Arizona. That's on CBS 3 and 5. TEDx speaker and participant in the Age Tech Collaborative from AARP. I mean, these are really great outlets for you to be in. You see a lot of groundbreaking stuff, and I do want our listeners to know that, you know, Abby, we met in 23, and I think it was before you were on the radio or on my show or just thereafter. You said, I got somebody I want you to meet, and we're going to do a Zoom call. And it was these 2 guys from Switzerland, and I'm meeting them, and they have this really cool product, and I'll let you talk about the product. They had a really cool product, and I was like, who are these guys? What do they got? And I had a hard time understanding them, and it was like, okay. And just before that, you know, I'd introduced you to a couple people that I knew that were embracing innovation in tech. One in particular that's been a guest here on my show, and he's a good friend, John Scott Williams, and he's got Fellowship Square of East Mesa. And I'll let you tell the rest of the story.
Thank you. You know, if you know me, you know that I'm passionate about helping entrepreneurs. And one thing I've been able to do is in the past couple of years is go to CES and meet these up and coming age tech innovators. And I love talking with them. I love helping them get their messaging out there. I love connecting them with people who are going to help get their solution into the hands of people who need it. And so that's how Helpany came across my desk. I met them in the Swiss Tech arena inside Eureka Park at CES.
Wow.
And we just started talking from there. And I knew, based on other things that we had talked about, Bob, previously, that would be something that you'd be interested in. So, yeah, so thrilled to see them grow, to see them take off, to see their solution save communities millions of dollars.
Communities, our healthcare system, and the family of the loss and the grief and the stress. I mean, it is incredible. So real quick, the Help Any product is a device that measures movement and measures more than movement. It can measure a lot of different things, but it is just really one little device. And John Scott Williams and his team, you know, they tried it out and they loved it. The data was overwhelming. And now they've put it out throughout their system, and Help Any's in many senior living communities today. And you and I think I had a little something to do it, help give birth here in the USA. I mean, really, really fascinating. And I talk to Sandro not as frequently as I used to, but he knows that I'm waiting. So his charge from his board of directors was to stay in the senior living first. Hit a home run there, and then let's talk about home care.
Yeah, yes. So exciting to see that. And, you know, it's not just that their unit, which is called Paul, is collecting data. But, you know, I do hear from many adults, children that are taking care of their parents, that they want something in the home that helps respect their privacy and their dignity. It's not a camera. It's not a microphone.
Right.
What Helpany is doing, it's a radar-based technology in their unit, and it's tracking movement, like you said, also detecting falls. But not only that, but it can tell whether or not someone's in the home and regulate a thermostat, right?
Right.
So, so many amazing money-saving, life-saving applications to it. So anytime something like that comes across my desk, I'm excited to share it and get the news out there.
Well, I will tell you, listeners, if you want to learn more, definitely go to Help Any. I believe it's helpany.com. But also, if you want to hear Sandro on my radio show, go out to my website at cypresshomecare.com. Look at the radio show button right under media. And it was on June 14th, almost a year ago, I had Sandro on talking about this great, fascinating product. And I think he's going to be at Arizona Leading Age, too. There's a lot going on over at Arizona Leading Age. It's a great way for us to start talking about that.
Absolutely. So, Bob, you're speaking there. What are you talking about this year?
Well, thank you for bringing that up. I am talking about really how we are going to care for our older adult population in the future. And basically, my title is Redefining Aging Services, a visionary blueprint for the decades ahead. And my listeners have always heard me talk about the data. And the data is pretty compelling. I mean, and it's pretty scary, too. And it's like, how are we going to see that older adults live out their best lives? And we know that they're solo aging at a high rate, 33% in our community. But these senior living communities that you're in a lot, 70% is about the average solo agers. So isolation is a big deal.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out how we can get them out and get them engaged. And that's why I'm a big supporter of adult daycare. I'm a big supporter of these communities that have these activity groups that, you know, bring them out. I'm big supporter of innovation. And more particularly, innovation that, you know, can really discern changes that are happening in people's lives. And there's one company that I've become very good friends with the founder, and he's the main principal there. And you may have seen them. It's called AccuShield.
Oh, yeah.
And AccuShield is in a lot of these communities, and they're collecting a lot of data.
Oh, my gosh.
And they can tell from the data who's not getting visitors.
Oh, yeah.
And who needs some love.
One thing that I really admire about AccuShield is their founders are owner-operators. So Charles his father owned communities, and so because
Why
of
am
that,
I not surprised you know all about Charles and his company? But
Yes.
go ahead, please share with our listeners.
Yes,
Because his
so-
father was in the biz.
Yes, yeah, he owned communities, and so when Charles came up, and he's a co-founder of AccuShield, he already knew how valuable it would be, but even more so during COVID, to be able to track who is in your community, right? How long were they there for? Who did they visit?
Right.
And one thing I just love about the tags and the kiosks, because they also started to include temperature and then a photo, and of course all this is being tracked. But I love the fact
when Abby's talking about temperature, you're talking about not the temperature of the community or the room,
Right.
the temperature of the person entering into
That's
the room.
right. That's right.
You remember
That's right.
we used to do that?
Oh my gosh, I do. So, but when one of those badges is printed out, a staff member can tell based on its vertical or horizontal orientation from down the hall, is this a family member or is this a visitor? And that's so valuable for people to know that within the community, who's coming down the hall and who's inside. But like you mentioned, it does track, when was the last time that resident was visited? Do they need a little more touch? Right? So like the love meter, like I love that. So I have been blown away by AccuShield. I just think it's one of the most impressive pieces of technology in a community.
Well, I mean, the thing about it, too, that I love about Charles and what he's done is that it was something personal that happened in his life. It propelled him to solve what he saw as a challenge. And his father was like all in. I mean, the one way we really connected was we both not only just loved our dads, but our dads were trailblazers in their respective industries. And that's when Charles and I met originally about 4 years ago in Denver. That's what really gravitated me to him.
What I've found in this industry is that so many people are here because of a heart connection. There's a heart connection that's occurred. There's an unmet need that needs to be solved. And I've met people within senior living that are so committed to helping older adults live their best lives.
Me too.
Yeah.
So you asked about leading age. So we have the conference that starts next week. It's down south this year. It's a little bit different. You want to tell our listeners where it's at?
So it's at Wild Horse Pass, right?
Yes, Wild Horse Pass.
Yeah.
And it's next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And when we come back, I want to hear about what you're speaking on. And you are going to be introducing me, which is really cool. And I'm sure we're going to do some improv there, and we're going to really have fun.
Good.
Because we don't know how to do it any other way.
No, we don't.
You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth. I got Abby Ritchie here in the house. We got 3 down. We got 1 more to go. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and we are in our final segment. We got Abby Ritchie here in the studio with me, and she is the tech guru, and she has this company called The Smarter Service, and she also hosts a Tech Tuesday television show called Foresight TV. And wow, we were talking about this Leading Age Conference, and it is coming up on us really, really fast. So that Leading Age Conference is starting on the 28th, which is exactly a week from today, and it's going to be the 28th and 29th. And it is over there at Wild Pass. If you missed my show 2 weeks ago, I had Jamie Roberts on really talking about it, but it's a great show, or a great conference, and it's really a great way to really see exhibitors that are really, as Abby said, they're really tech forward, they're innovating, that are doing things a little bit differently.
Yeah, one thing I loved this year is that they've given us as presenters an opportunity to sponsor someone else's presentation, and my company let me choose. So I was looking down the list, Bob. I'm going to sponsor Bob Roth.
Thank
for
you.
Sure. You're welcome. It's always just a pleasure to be in your presence, and I can't wait to see you next week.
Well, thank you. And I'm on Wednesday. And you are you on Thursday? So I'm looking it up. I think you're introducing me on Wednesday.
I think I'm on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Tuesday. Yeah.
We'll figure it out here.
I'll be there.
She will definitely be there. So what are you talking about?
So I'm talking about tech literacy. This is a topic that I often speak about at conferences, and it's really just the key to health, safety, and connection for older adults.
And certainly that's what you do every day, and you do it very, very well. I know you're not afraid of the microphone, and you host this TV show. I imagine it's going to be quite engaging and interactive.
I hope so. You know, one thing I've learned from you and from other hosts is the more I can share stories about people, right? About the actual people rather than the data or this thing happened, whatever. But the more that I can share stories about Ruthie, about Mary, about Harold, the more it really sinks in for people. So while I do like getting up and talking about technology and older adults, I really just want to make an impact and allow people to take something away that's really going to sit with them and get them to think about how they can implement that.
Well, I did look at the schedule. You and I are both on Wednesday.
Okay.
I'm on in the morning before lunch. You're after lunch. You're on at 4:15.
You want to switch times?
No, I do better before lunch.
Okay.
I might be sleepy by then.
Okay, all right.
So, Abby, we're here in our fourth segment, and you have your finger on the pulse of a lot of innovation in tech. You are a student of that. You go to CES. You are devouring it on the internet. You have these connections. I'm going to ask you a question. Where do you see us going? Where do you see us going as it relates to innovation in our older adult population?
Such a good question. And, there are a couple things. Just truly on the most surface level, I see that there's got to be a whole lot of innovation in our printers. And that's just a silly little thing, but nothing has changed in the printer arena for years and years and years. So I'm looking forward to that, okay? Another thing...
Do you know anyone that's breaking through on that?
I don't.
So we're calling that out.
I'm calling it out right now.
So somebody who's listening who might have the tech-forward brain... Help us out with printers.
Yeah, they're terrible. They're so antiquated.
And you know this because you're working with older adults and they're trying to use these printers.
Yes, and they're
the ink doesn't work, and
it's such a hot mess. But the other thing I know is on the way is that we're going to be seeing captioning everywhere. So there's more technology that's happening within hearing aids. For instance, Auracast, but we're going to be taking this to the next level. So no matter where you're at, there's going to be audio inscription. All right, and because there's so visually, that's
okay.
right. Because this is how we watch TV.
I do.
Right,
I throw on closed caption because I can't hear.
I know they're talking too fast.
They're
really,
talking
right?
fast.
So yes, so that is what I'm anticipating.
So tell me what you think about the Meta glasses that these companies have out there, like Ray-Bans and others. And I really think that's the tip of the iceberg. I mean, look, you can say whatever you want about guys like Elon Musk, but Neuralink and some of the stuff that he and others are doing, to really help us remember, it's here. It really is. And then I think about robo-taxis. His robo-taxis are running in Austin, Texas now. And we live here in Scottsdale, and Waymos are all over the place.
They are.
And I have to tell you, Abby, I think in the next 5 years, we're going to see a ton of those. And people like you and I are going to choose whether or not we want to even own a car, because why would we when we can just order a robo-taxi?
Right. Yeah, I love it. I'm down for that too. I do see that also helping so many older adults with mobility. If you were to look back at COVID, I think the two populations that were hit the most are the older adults and the kids who just couldn't go places. Like my children at that time were about 11 and 12, and they were also stuck at home because they just couldn't get out to do things. So the more that people are able to get out and interact with those they love and continue to be independent, and if a Waymo is going to allow them to do that, great.
Well, I think the tech is transformational. I mean, look, exoskeletons. I mean, I was just at a conference. I mean, helping people walk. I mean, you probably saw I think it was a 60 Minutes episode where, They're helping people with spinal cord injuries now. They're able to use their legs. I mean, we are on the brink of some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I
Because
saw it.
mobility is a real issue for older adults. And if we can use assistive technologies to keep them upright and keep them moving, that's a good thing.
Yep, 100% right behind you on that.
So what else do you see? I mean, and you are a teacher, and people are going to learn, and students are going to learn in different ways. And, you obviously have to understand where people are in their learning journey so you can tailor your teaching to be able to help them individually. But I mean, we can't have enough Abby Ritchies out there, and that's the problem. I mean, so how do we learn and how do we teach in this new paradigm that we're about to enter into?
Yeah, I could speak on that on so many different levels, but I think one thing we're going to start seeing a lot more of is advanced user interface, that the people who are creating these technologies will also start tapping into a way for people to learn them in a simpler form. So it's user interface.
Yeah, I see that too. And the form that they are most comfortable with, because all of us are not. I mean, listen, I have this Apple MacBook right in front of me. And don't tell anybody, but I VPN into a PC because there's some PC programs that I really like. And I
won't tell anyone, okay?
And I don't have that in Apple, so I VPN into a PC so I can do my QuickBooks and do my Outlook and those types of things.
Well, the secret's out.
I know. Abby Ritchie,
Yeah.
It's always great to have you.
Thank
And
you.
on here at Health Futures, let's not wait 2 years. And I'm going to see you next Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's like going to be here before you know it. It is Memorial Day weekend. Any plans?
My daughter's graduating high school tomorrow, so we have loads of family coming into town, and we're going to be celebrating. How
Well,
about you?
I am going to be taking it easy.
Okay,
I just
good.
came back from a conference. I got another conference next week, and then I got a conference after that. Well, it's conference season.
Yeah.
It's so great to see you. Thank you for joining us today. Make it a great day. Have a great weekend. We'll be back next Friday.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit cypresshomecare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.